The last hope. The sky was burning. Dark clouds rolled over the mountains, heavy with smoke and ash. Thunder growled like an angry beast, and lightning cracked the sky again and again. Below the clouds, a great shadow moved through the storm. It was a dragon. She was huge, but she was not strong anymore. Her wings were torn. Her scales were cracked and blackened by fire and blood. Every beat of her wings looked painful, slow, and desperate. Clutched close to her chest was a small dragon, hatchling. The child did not move. Its tiny wings hung limp. Its breathing was weak, so weak it was hard to see. A deep wound burned across its side, glowing faintly with dark energy. This was not a normal wound. This was a death wound. The mother dragon roared in pain and sorrow, but the storm swallowed her voice. She had already tried everything. The ancient dragon healers had shaken their heads. The crystal fires had gone cold. The old magic had failed. They had all told her the same thing. The hatchling is lost. Some dragons had turned away in silence. Others had looked at her with fear, as if death itself followed her now. No one wanted to be near a dragon whose child was marked by fate. But a mother does not accept fate so easily. The dragon flew lower, leaving the safety of the mountains behind. Each wing beat carried her farther from dragon lands and closer to a place dragons avoided at all costs. The lands of humans. Rain began to fall hard as she crossed the final ridge. Below her, small lights appeared in the darkness. Firelights, homes, roads, a human settlement. The dragon's heart pounded. Humans fear dragons. Humans hunted dragons. Humans built weapons just to kill her kind. Every instinct screamed at her to turn back. But then the hatchling let out a tiny sound. A weak cry. Almost nothing. The dragon cried out in answer. She had no other choice. With a final burst of strength, she descended. The ground shook as she landed at the edge of the settlement. Mud and water exploded outward. Buildings rattled. Animals screamed. Humans noticed instantly. Shouts rang out. Doors slammed. Bells rang in warning. Dragon, get the guards. Run. Torches lit the night. Armed humans rushed into the open, their hands shaking as they raised spears and weapons. Some froze in fear. Others screamed in anger. The dragon did not attack. She stood there, breathing hard, rain running down her massive form. Her eyes were full of pain, not rage. Slowly, very slowly, she lowered her body. Then she did something no human had ever seen before. She bowed. The humans froze. The dragon carefully placed the hatchling on the wet ground in front of her. She curled her massive body around the small form, shielding it from the rain, and then she pulled back just enough for the humans to see. The child was dying. Even the soldiers could see that. A strange silence fell over the settlement. The storm still raged, but no one moved. No one spoke. The dragon lowered her head until her horns touched the ground. She was begging. Her chest shook as she released a low, broken sound. It was not a roar. It was a cry. A mother's cry. Then her glowing eyes lifted and locked onto one human. He stood at the back of the crowd. He was not a soldier. He wore simple clothes, dark and worn. His hands were rough, stained from work, not blood. He had no weapon in his hands. He was just a man. The dragon stared at him, unblinking. Something about him felt different. The man felt it too. He did not know why, but his heart was pounding. Every part of him told him to stay back, to hide, to let the guards handle this. But his feet moved forward anyway. People shouted at him to stop. Are you crazy? She'll kill you. Get back. He did not listen. Step by step, he walked toward the dying hatchling. The dragon's body tensed. The ground beneath her claws cracked. One wrong move, and the man would be dead. But the dragon did not strike. She waited. Rain soaked the man as he knelt beside the hatchling. Up close, the wound was worse than he imagined. Dark energy pulsed inside it like something alive and angry. The hatchling's eyes fluttered, barely open. The man swallowed. He had no plan, no spell, no cure, only a strange feeling in his chest, like this moment was pulling him forward. Slowly, carefully, he reached out his hand. The dragon held her breath. The entire settlement held its breath. His fingers touched the hatchling scales, and the world changed. The rain stopped falling around them. The air grew warm. Something ancient stirred beneath the ground. The dragon's eyes widened in shock, because she felt it. Hope. For the first time since her child was wounded, she felt hope. And far beyond the storm, far beyond the mountains, something old and powerful opened its eyes. Fate had been challenged, and it was watching, when the world held its breath. The moment the human touched the hatchling, silence swallowed the storm. Rain still fell beyond the small circle around them, but not a single drop touched the ground near the child. It was as if the world itself had stepped back, afraid to interfere. The human felt it first. A deep pressure filled his chest, not painful, but heavy, like standing too close to something ancient and vast. His breath slowed. His hands trembled, yet he did not pull them away. The hatchling's scales were cold. Too cold. This was not the cold of rain or night. This was the cold of life slipping away. The man swallowed hard. "I don't know how to help you," he whispered, his voice barely louder than the wind. "But I won't leave you." The words were simple, but they mattered. The mother dragon watched every movement. Her muscles were tight, ready to kill at the smallest threat. One wrong breath, one sign of harm, and the human settlement would burn. Yet something held her back. She felt it clearly now. The human carried no fear in his heart, only resolve. Around them, the humans stood frozen. Soldiers forgot their weapons. Guards forgot their orders. None of them understood what they were seeing. A dragon bowing, a human kneeling, and the storm itself bending away. The hatchling twitched. Just once. The movement was small, but the mother dragon gasped. A sharp, broken sound escaped her throat. She leaned forward, her massive head lowering until her shadow covered both the child and the human. The man looked up. For the first time, he truly met her eyes. They were not filled with fire. They were filled with fear. Not fear for herself. Fear of loss. The man understood then. This creature was not a monster. She was a mother standing at the edge of the impossible. Slowly, he placed his other hand on the ground beside the hatchling. The earth beneath his palm felt warm, almost alive. A strange hum passed through his body, climbing up his arms and into his chest. His heart began to beat in a different rhythm. Stronger, deeper. Memories he did not recognize brushed against his mind. Flashes of fire, stone, sky, and voices that spoke without sound. He pulled in a sharp breath, eyes wide. "What is happening?" he whispered. The answer did not come in words. It came as feeling. The ground beneath them began to glow. Thin lines of soft light spread outward from the hatchling, carving ancient symbols into the mud and stone. The symbols twisted and formed shapes no human had seen in generations. The dragon recoiled. Her wings flared wide, knocking over nearby structures. She roared, not in anger, but in alarm. This magic, this was old, older than dragon clans, older than human cities. This was the forbidden bond. Far away, deep within dragon territory, ancient watchers stirred. Massive eyes opened in dark caverns. Old beings felt the shift and knew something terrible or wonderful had begun. "This cannot be happening," one ancient dragon whispered. Back in the human settlement, the glow grew brighter. The hatchling cried out. Its small body arched as dark energy fought against the light. The wound pulsed violently, spreading black veins across its scales. The man clenched his teeth. Whatever this was, it was not gentle. He felt the pain too. Sharp, burning, like fire in his blood. He tried to pull his hand away. He couldn't. The bond had already formed. The mother dragon stepped forward, panic flooding her senses. She lowered her head beside the man, her massive eye inches from him. She felt the pain passing between them, felt her child's suffering echoing inside the human. She understood then. The human was sharing the burden. She made a choice. With a low, trembling sound, the dragon pressed her forehead to the ground, right beside the man's shoulder. Her breath washed over him, hot and shaking. She offered something no dragon had ever offered a human. Trust. Power surged. The symbols flared like stars. A shockwave rolled outward, pushing everyone back. Humans were thrown to the ground. Fires went out. Weapons shattered. The The sky split with a roar of thunder. The hatchling screamed, then went silent. The glow vanished. The warmth disappeared. The rain rushed back in all at once, soaking everything. For one long, terrifying moment, nothing moved. The man's heart pounded wildly. His vision blurred. He feared the worst. Slowly, he lowered his head and looked at the hatchling. The wound was still there, but it was no longer spreading. The black veins had stopped. The hatchling's chest rose. Once, then again, a breath. The mother dragon let out a sound that shook the air, a broken mix of joy and disbelief. Her legs buckled, and she collapsed beside her child, careful not to crush the human. The human stared in horror and awe. The child was alive, not healed, not safe, but alive, far above the clouds. Something ancient and unseen shifted its gaze toward the settlement. The bond was incomplete, and that was the most dangerous part, because now the universe knew. A human had touched forbidden power, and fate would not allow that without a price. The price of breathing. The hatchling breathed. That single truth should have brought peace. It did not. The mother dragon felt at first the shift. The air around her child was wrong, heavy, like the moment before lightning strikes. Her joy twisted into fear. Ancient fear. This was not healing. This was delay. The human swayed on his knees, his hands still pressed into the mud. His chest burned as if something inside him was pulling apart and rebuilding at the same time. Each breath felt borrowed. He tried to stand. He failed. The ground caught him instead. The dragon moved fast, faster than any human expected. One massive claw dug into the earth inches from the man's head, not to harm him, but to steady herself as she leaned over him. Her voice rumbled low. Not words. A warning. The hatchling suddenly screamed. It was a sharp, broken sound, filled with pain and fear. Dark light burst from the wound again, stronger than before. The black veins surged across its body, reaching its neck, its wings, its heart. The delay was ending. The human gasped as the pain hit him like a hammer. He felt the wound as if it were his own. Fire tore through his side. He cried out despite himself, fingers clawing at the ground. Around them, humans panicked. Something's wrong. Kill the dragon. Get away from them. Weapons were raised again. The mother dragon turned her head slowly toward the soldiers. Her eyes burned. One step forward, and the settlement would be ash. But the human raised a shaking hand. Stop, he said. His voice was weak, but it carried. The soldiers hesitated, not because they trusted him, but because they were afraid of what would happen if they did not. The man looked back at the hatchling. It was dying again, and this time faster. His thoughts raced. He did not understand the power flowing through him. He did not know where it came from, but he knew one thing deep in his bones. This power wanted balance. It wanted payment. The ground trembled. The ancient symbols flickered back into view, brighter and sharper than before. The rain began to boil where it touched the glowing lines. The mother dragon recognized them now. Her heart froze. These were not healing marks. These were binding marks. Long ago, in an age spoken of only in whispers, humans and dragons had shared a bond like this. It was forbidden because it demanded too much. It demanded sacrifice. She roared in terror. Her massive wings beat against the air, sending debris flying. She tried to pull her hatchling away. She could not. The light held the child in place. The human screamed as the pull intensified. Something was tearing at his chest. Not flesh, but something deeper. Something unseen. Memories not his own flooded his mind. Dragons soaring over endless skies. Cities of stone built by human hands long turned to dust. A war fought not with hate, but fear. And at the center of it all, a choice. The man understood. The hatchling could live, but not alone. This bond would not fade. Not tomorrow. Not ever. He would be tied to the child's life. If the hatchling grew stronger, so would he. If the hatchling suffered, so would he. If the hatchling died, the answer burned into him. The mother dragon lowered her head beside him, her great body shaking. She felt the truth too, felt the bond trying to lock into place. She made a sound no dragon should ever make. A plea. She pressed her forehead to the earth again, harder this time. Cracks spread through the stone. Her pride shattered with it. Take my life instead. That was her offer. The symbols flared violently. The power rejected her. The bond did not want the strong. It wanted the willing. The human laughed softly through the pain. A broken, breathless sound. It doesn't want you, he whispered. It wants me. The hatchling scream turned into a cry, louder, clearer. Its wings twitched. Its heart beat harder, stealing strength from the bond. From him, blood trickled from the man's nose. His vision darkened at the edges. If this continued, he would not survive the night. The mother dragon realized the final truth too late. The bond was incomplete because the human had not chosen yet. Not truly. Power without choice was killing them both. She leaned down, her massive eye level with his face. She spoke, not in sound but in meaning. If you stay, you will never be free. If you leave, my child will die. The world seemed to wait. The storm paused. The soldiers held their breath. The ancient watchers far away leaned closer. The man closed his eyes. He thought of nothing grand. No glory. No future. Only a dying child and a mother who refused to give up. He reached out again. Not with fear. Not with hesitation. With decision. I choose to stay, he said. The symbols exploded with light. The dark veins shattered like glass. The hatchling gasped, and its eyes snapped open. Not fully dragon. Not fully human. Something new looked out at the world. And somewhere deep in the universe, fate recoiled. Because the choice had been made. And there was no turning back now. When the dragons came for him, the hatchling's eyes were open. That alone should have ended the nightmare. It did not. The moment those eyes focused, the ground let out a deep, cracking sound, like the world itself was splitting under pressure. The glowing symbols sank into the earth and vanished, but the power they left behind did not fade. It stayed, watching. The human collapsed forward, barely catching himself on one elbow. His body felt hollow, like something essential had been carved out and replaced with fire. Every heartbeat echoed too loudly in his ears. Alive but changed. The mother dragon wrapped her wings around her child instinctively, pulling the hatchling close to her chest. She expected weakness. Instead, she felt strength. The hatchling's heart beat strong and steady. Warmth flowed through its small body. The dark wound was still there, but it no longer spread. It pulsed with quiet resistance, like something fighting back. The hatchling looked up at her, and then, slowly, it turned its head toward the human. The mother dragon froze. The bond pulled tight. She felt it clearly now. A thin, unbreakable thread stretching from her child's heart to the human's. Her breath caught. This was not healing. This was joining. Before she could react, the air shattered with a thunderous roar. Not the storm. Dragons. The sky above the settlement darkened as massive shapes tore through the clouds. One, then three, then many. Their wings blocked the moon. Their scales burned with ancient fire. The elders had arrived. They landed beyond the settlement walls, their presence crushing the air. Stone cracked under their weight. Humans fell to their knees without knowing why. The oldest dragon stepped forward, his scales white with age, his eyes glowing like dying stars. His gaze locked onto the human, then the hatchling, then the mother dragon. You have broken the law of creation. His voice thundered into every mind present. A human has touched what was never meant for them. The mother dragon stepped forward, placing herself between the elder and the human. Her wings spread wide. Her meaning was clear. If you want him, you go through me. The elder's eyes burned brighter. You would defend a human over your own kind. She did not hesitate. Yes. Shock rippled through the gathered dragons. Murmurs echoed through the air. Some looked away. Others watched with open fear. The human struggled to his feet. His legs shook, but he stood anyway. This was my choice, he said. His voice was hoarse, but steady. I didn't take anything. I gave. The elder dragon laughed. A deep, cold sound. Humans always say that, he replied. You give, and the universe bleeds. He raised one massive claw. The air around it warped, heavy with power. The mother dragon roared and lunged. Too late. Before the claw could fall, the hatchling cried out, not in fear, in command. A shockwave exploded outward. The elder dragon was thrown back, skidding across the ground in a storm of shattered stone. Dragons reeled in midair. Humans were knocked flat. Silence followed. The hatchling glowed faintly, its eyes shining with a light that did not belong to dragons. The mother dragon stared in disbelief. The bond had awakened something inside her child, something the elders had feared for centuries. The elder rose slowly, his expression no longer angry, but terrified. That child, he whispered, is a bridge. The word echoed. A bridge. Between species. Between power. Between past and future. He turned his burning gaze back to the human. You cannot stay here, the elder said. If you remain, war will follow. Dragons will come. Humans will answer. The world will burn. The human looked at the hatchling. The hatchling looked back. The bond pulsed. Leaving now would weaken the child. Staying would bring destruction. The mother dragon lowered her head beside the human, her voice soft but unbreakable. If you go, she said, my child may survive, but alone. If you stay, the elder added, you will be hunted. The storm above began to twist again, drawn to the growing tension. The human closed his eyes. He had saved one life. Now the cost was becoming clear. And the most dangerous part was not the dragons. It was the truth spreading through the sky. Humans were not powerless. And once the universe learns that, there's no going back. The choice that broke the sky. The silence after the elder's warning was heavier than thunder. Even the storm seemed unsure what to do next. The human stood between two worlds, rain sliding down his face, his body shaking from exhaustion and power he did not understand. Around him, humans watched in fear. Above him, dragons circled like living mountains. The elder dragon's words echoed again. If you stay, you will be hunted. The mother dragon lowered her massive head until it rested beside the human. Her breath was warm, uneven. For the first time since she had landed, she looked small, not in size, in certainty. The hatchling shifted in her wings. Its eyes glowed faintly, still locked on the human. The bond tightened, pulling at his chest like an invisible chain. Leaving would hurt. Staying would destroy everything. The elder dragon raised his wings slightly, a signal. The other dragons responded at once. Fire gathered in their throats, not unleashed, but ready. This was not a threat. It was a countdown. You have one chance, the elder said. Walk away. Break the bond before it settles. The child may still live, weakened but alive. The mother dragon flinched. She understood what that meant. Her child would survive, but never fly as others did. Never rule. Never fully belong. The human's hands clenched. And if I stay, he asked. The elder's eyes hardened. Then dragons will come for you. Not today. Not tomorrow. But always. The human laughed quietly. Not because it was funny, but because it was honest. Always. The ground beneath his feet pulsed. A low hum spread outward, unnoticed at first. The bond was reacting. The hatchling suddenly cried out again, louder this time. Its small claws dug into the mother's scales. Not in pain, but fear. The human felt it clearly. The hatchling was afraid of losing him. He took a step forward. The mother dragon stiffened, unsure if she should stop him. He placed a hand gently against her scales. I won't abandon him, the human said softly. And I won't run. The elder dragon snarled. So be it. He slammed his claw into the ground. The sky tore open. Lightning fell not from above, but from the air itself, striking in a perfect circle around the human, the mother dragon, and the hatchling. The earth split. Stone lifted. Power poured into the space like a rising tide. The human screamed and fled. The dragons roared in alarm. This was no attack. This was a test. The elder's voice boomed inside the circle. If you stay, he said, prove you are more than a mistake. The pressure crushed down. The human dropped to one knee. His vision blurred. Every part of him felt like it was being pulled apart, measured, judged. The bond burned white hot. Memories surged again, but this time they were clearer. Humans standing beside dragons. Hands and claws joined. A world balanced between fire and reason. Then the memory shattered. War, fear, betrayal. This bond had ended once before, and the universe remembered. The human screamed as the pressure peaked. Blood ran from his ears. His heart felt ready to tear itself free. The mother dragon roared and spread her wings, shielding him with her body. Lightning tore into her scales. She endured it without retreat. Take me instead. The bond rejected her again. The hatchling cried, and the sound cut through everything. The pressure stopped. The lightning froze in midair. The world held still. The human looked up. The hatchling had lifted its head fully now. Light poured from its eyes, flowing through the bond. Into him. Strength returned. Not borrowed. Shared. He stood. The elder dragon staggered back, eyes wide. This is impossible, he whispered. The human did not feel powerful. He felt responsible. I'm not your enemy, the human said. But I won't be erased. The light exploded outward, shattering the circle. Dragons were thrown back. The storm broke apart, clouds ripping open to reveal the stars. When the light faded, the human was still standing. So was the hatchling. The elder dragon lowered his head slowly. The bond is sealed, he said, whether we like it or not. He turned away. This changes everything. As the dragons retreated into the sky, the mother dragon collapsed beside the human, her strength finally gone. She pressed her forehead to his shoulder. You chose us, she said. The human looked at the hatchling, now calm, breathing easily. No, he replied quietly. I chose what was right. Far above, far beyond sight, ancient forces stirred uneasily, because the test was over, and the next time fate came, it would not come to judge. It would come to collect. The child who was no longer only a dragon. Dawn came slowly. The storm was gone, but the air still felt broken, like the world had not fully healed from what happened during the night. The settlement lay in ruins. Walls cracked, fires burned out, people hiding in silence. At the center of it all, the mother dragon lay curled around her hatchling, and beside them stood the human. He had not slept. He could not. Every breath he took echoed somewhere else. Every heartbeat was answered by another, smaller one. The bond was no longer loud or burning. It was steady, deep, and permanent. The hatchling opened its eyes again. This time, there was no pain. It lifted its head slowly, carefully, as if learning how its body worked all over again. Its scales shimmered, not with fire, but with a soft inner light that shifted with its breathing. The mother dragon leaned close, fear and wonder twisting together in her chest. My child, she whispered. The hatchling looked at her. Then it looked at the human, and it smiled, not with teeth, with understanding. The human felt it immediately, a gentle touch inside his mind. Not words, feelings, curiosity, warmth. It knows me, he realized, not as a tool, not as a master, as something connected. The moment broke when sharp pain ripped through his chest. He gasped and staggered back. At the same instant, the hatchling cried out and folded its wings tightly against its body. The mother dragon roared in alarm. The bond reacted violently. The human dropped to one knee, clutching his chest. His vision blurred as something dark pressed against the edges of his mind. This was new, and it was wrong. Far away, beyond mountains and sky, something answered the bond. Something ancient, something hungry. The air grew cold. The hatchling's light dimmed, replaced by shadows that crawled along its scales like living smoke. The ground beneath them began to crack again, but not with warmth, this time with cold. The mother dragon felt it and froze. This presence, she whispered. It should not know, but it did. The bond had sent a signal, not to dragons, not to humans, to what lived between stars and silence. The human felt eyes on him, countless, distant, watching with interest. A voice brushed his thoughts, not kind, not cruel. So the bridge still exists. He screamed as the voice tried to dig deeper. The hatchling screamed too. The pain fed back and forth, growing stronger with every second. If one fell, the other would follow. The mother dragon made a desperate choice. She rose, wings flaring wide, and roared, a call older than language. The sound ripped through the sky, through stone, through memory. Dragons everywhere heard it. Not a command, a warning. Moments later, shadows moved at the edge of the settlement. Dragon shapes appeared. Not elders, not warriors, but watchers. Silent, fearful. They felt it too. The wrong thing had noticed. The human forced himself upright, teeth clenched against the pain. He placed both hands on the hatchling, focusing everything he had on one thought. You are not alone. The hatchling's light flared in response, pushing back the shadows. The voice withdrew slightly. Interesting, it murmured. Very interesting. The presence faded, but not fully. The air warmed again. The pain eased, but did not disappear. The watchers exchanged uneasy glances. This is only the beginning, one whispered. The bond has become a beacon. The mother dragon wrapped her wings around both the human and her child, protective and fierce. I will not let them take you, she growled. The human met her gaze. They won't, he said quietly. Not without a fight. Above them, the sky cleared completely, revealing the stars. But now, some of those stars felt closer than they should be. Watching, waiting, and somewhere beyond sight, something smiled. Because the child was no longer only a dragon, and the human was no longer only human. They were a signal, and the universe had finally answered back. The day fate stepped aside, the stars did not move, but they felt closer than ever. The human stood beneath them, the mother dragon at his side, the hatchling cradled between worlds. The bond was quiet now, no pain, no fire, but it was heavy, like a promise the universe would not forget. The presence was gone. For now, the dragon watchers remained silent, their massive forms still as stone. None of them spoke. None of them challenged what stood before them, because they all felt it. The bond was complete. Not perfect, but unbreakable. The hatchling lifted its head again, stronger than before. Its eyes no longer glowed wildly. Instead, they were calm, deep pools of light and shadow mixed together. When it looked at the world responded. The ground steadied. The air relaxed. The fear eased. The mother dragon bowed her head, not in weakness, but in respect. My child is no longer just mine, she said quietly, and neither is your life. The human nodded. I know. He felt it clearly now. His future was no longer a straight path. It branched endlessly, tied to choices that would shape more than one species. The dragon watchers finally stepped forward. One of them spoke, voice low and careful. This bond cannot be hidden, the dragon said. Others will come. Dragons, humans, and things older than both. The human looked up at the sky. Let them come. There was no anger in his voice, only certainty. The hatchling suddenly spread its wings. They were still small, still fragile. But when it flapped them once, a wave of force rolled outward, gentle, controlled, powerful. It was not a weapon. It was a statement. I am here. The watchers pulled back instinctively. The mother dragon felt tears burn her eyes, not of sorrow, but pride. Her child had survived, not by strength alone, not by magic alone, but by trust. The human placed a hand over his chest. The bond responded softly. For the first time, he understood what he had become. Not a hero, not a weapon, not a ruler. A bridge between fear and understanding, between past mistakes and future choices. Far away, ancient forces shifted uneasily. Plans were reconsidered, paths rewritten, because fate had expected fire. It had expected war. It had expected humans to break and dragons to dominate. Instead, one human had chosen to stay. One dragon had chosen to trust, and one child had chosen to live. The universe did not like surprises, but it respected resolve. As dawn fully broke, light washed over the settlement. Humans slowly emerged from hiding. They saw the dragon still there, but not attacking. They saw the human still standing. And between them, they saw something new. Hope. The story would spread. Some would call it dangerous. Some would call it heresy. Some would call it the beginning of the end. But the truth was simpler. That day, fate had come to claim its price, and found the bill already paid. Because sometimes, the most powerful force in the universe is not fire, not magic, not ancient law. It is the choice to stand together. And from that moment on, the stars watched more carefully. not because they feared what was coming, but because they knew the age of silent humanity was over.